Adoption brings our worlds together. Adoption brings our worlds together. Adoption brings our worlds together. Come and share with me. Adoption brings our worlds together. Adoption brings our worlds together. Adoption brings our worlds together. Come and share with me. Share with me.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Journey to Josiah. I am your extremely excited host, David Marshall. It is going to be my honor to take you on the most incredible journey through the lives of the many thousands of people impacted by the amazing world of adoption. But first, I'd love to take you on my own personal journey to becoming a dad. The day I got to meet and hold my then 2-week-old baby boy Josiah in my arms for the very first time was the most amazing day of my entire life. Welcome to my journey to Josiah. I grew up in a small area of Baltimore County called Sparrows Point, which is a little known area in, I think as I said, Baltimore County. I'm the oldest of 3. I have 2 younger brothers. Now they're not too much younger than me. The one right under me is just 17 months younger than me, and the youngest one is 5 years younger than me. My father was a business owner. Well, he's still alive. He's a business owner, and I'm proud to say that he had a trash removal company that had been in our family for 70 years. My grandfather started it in 1951, and then my father took the helm in 1987. My mother is a retired educator. She taught for 38 years. She started in Baltimore City, and then she moved to Baltimore County to teach. So my brothers and I, growing up, we were very, 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 very close because, as I said, we're pretty close in age. So it was really instilled in me that because I'm the oldest, that I had to be the protector. So there could be nothing could happen to them. I had to make sure that I was holding it down, and so that I did with great joy, great pride. And I probably say that I still do that now, still, even though we're very, very grown, I still pretty much look out for them. But we share that now with each other. We're still very, very close. We have our group chat and we talk every day. And I would say that our relationship has probably gotten even stronger as my son Josiah has come into the picture. Because they have no children, so they're definitely the doting uncles. They're actually also his godfathers as well. So uncles were one thing, but I felt like it meant even more to make them his godfathers. They're the closest men to me, so it just made sense. Family was love. We had a very, very close-knit family. We did everything together. We traveled together. We went to church together most every Sunday. We ate together most evenings. We pretty much did everything together. It was a strong nuclear family growing up. My life, I would say I've been a man of many different careers. So I taught for many years. And then after teaching, then I moved to New York and took on the stage. So I'm an opera singer by profession. So I lived up there for 4 years and did a bit of performing in regional opera, concert, and then after that came back here, taught, and then moved into the family business. And I had a private voice studio, church job. So it's kind of almost hard to say what life was like in terms of routine because As I said, I've worn many, many, many hats in my life. So pre-Josiah, a lot of things. But I like that. I don't really necessarily like the regular routine. I think that's the artist in me. As artists, our lives are not the same every day. We get bored very, very easily. We've got to see something different. We've got to be someplace different. That's just the norm for us. So all of those different careers, all those different jobs, was really me still being an artist, even though I wasn't on the stage every day. That was a necessary part of me staying active and really just not being bored. Just prior to me moving into this journey in my life, I was sitting as the CEO of Marshall Jr. Incorporated, which was the family business that my grandfather started, and then my father took the helm. In 2017, I took the helm of that very company. And if there was anything that many of us took from this pandemic that we're still living in, there was the sense of, after finding ourselves bound for a year and then some, many of us found that we needed to shift some things because we saw life being taken from people suddenly. People that were well and healthy, they suddenly were gone. And we're still seeing people struggling and suffering. So it gave life a whole new perspective. And when I look back at that point in my life, having that, while there was a pride in having that company, I wasn't happy. I really was not fulfilled in that. And so I took a leap of faith and probably to some made a very sudden move. And I decided to walk away from that company. I walked away from that stability because ultimately I knew I had a greater purpose. And again, happiness is something that is something that we all should be striving for. And it's a conscious decision to be happy. And I was not happy doing that. It was not serving me well anymore. So I walked away and I walked into this brand new space, not really knowing what was going to happen at all. Again, I walked away from the stability of a weekly check. I walked away from being the CEO of a company that, again, was 70 years old to the unknown. But I got peace when I did it. I'm very happy. I feel wonderful. I feel free. And I know that I'm getting ready to serve the world in a greater capacity because now I get to introduce the world to family. The gender of my baby did not matter at all. Boy, girl, I just was ready to be a dad. The fact that he is a boy, he is a real boy, and I think the Lord has a serious sense of humor because he is running, tumbling, jumping, hopping, skipping. He does it all. And I don't know that I have had to have all of this energy in my whole life, but it's fun. It's fun. I love it. I wouldn't trade anything for the world. He has brought me way outside of my box. I always knew I was going to be a dad. I wanted to be a dad. That was one of my biggest dreams in life. I think that there were points in the process where I wondered if it would ever happen because there was the time of wait. And I waited for a year and a half to get that call. I knew there was an urgency on the inside. I'm generally a very planned person, but when the time came, I just knew that internally, I felt the best way I could say it was just a natural urgency. I couldn't get it out of my mind. And so I just knew I had to start working and planning, and so I did. This journey impacted my life greatly because it probably saved my life. And I say it in that before many of us become parents, we're only thinking about ourselves. When you become parents, you then think about your children. Your children come first. It's no longer about self, It's about them. Every decision you make is about what is going to impact your child. And so pre-Josiah, I probably didn't make all the best decisions. Now, I didn't make horrible ones. Well, some of them probably weren't the best. But now, everything is totally what I want Josiah to see. I want him to see the best in me, basically. Because I need to model what I find to be appropriate behavior so that when Josiah grows up, he is doing the best that he can do. I know he won't always do the right thing. He's gonna fall, but it's okay. I know that for me on my end, that I did the best that I could do to model what I thought was the best for him. The elements of my family that I would want to share with Josiah, really the first and foremost is the love and doing things together, the traveling together, the dinners together, the talking together. We played games actually early on, and as I'm thinking now, I reflect on the nights that we played board games together, Uno together. Those are things actually I forgot about until just sitting here now. Those things, those simple, small things, those are the things I'd like us to do together. This project is a game changer for me. It's a world changer for me because it's about family. For me, becoming a father was it was one of my biggest dreams. I had two big dreams in life. One was to be an opera singer and the other to be a father. Now, as a single gay man, many people in society think that that is not something that is easily attainable. And for me, actually, it really wasn't that challenging of a thing. I didn't think so much about it. When I wanted to be a father, I set out to adopt. I always knew I wanted to adopt, and I adopted my child. So many people have big dreams in their lives, to be doctors, lawyers, singers, dancers, all of those wonderful things. When one wants to become a parent, it sits differently on the inside. And it's one of those things that never ever dies. Many people can probably get over if they never become a singer, a dancer, if they never attain fame, if they graduate from law school but never pass the bar exam and therefore are never able to be a trial attorney. They can move on and find other things to do. But when one wants to become a parent, they never, and they somehow, it doesn't happen, they never seem to get over it. So this show and this nonprofit, it's designed to help people to become parents. It's all about family. When you want to become a parent, you should be able to become a parent. It's that thing that you should never leave this earth and never be able to have. Because as I said before, it's that thing that you never ever get over. And it is my ministry, above all, to make sure that you are able to attain that big dream in your life. That is what I'm here to do, is to make sure that you are able to have family. Journey to Josiah does that through sharing with you the gift of adoption, because adoption was a gift for me. It was a miracle for me. And when I walked into the room and I held my baby for the very first time, I was instantly in love with him. It was not a long, drawn-out bonding experience, as one would think when they have given birth and they had the 9 months to bond and they were in love with their baby while they were in utero. I didn't have that. But when I walked into the room and I looked at my baby, instantly, when I tell you instantly, I can't stress it enough, I was instantly in love with my 2-week-old baby boy. And so adoption is a gift. And so I want to share with the world what adoption can do and how it can change you, those who are prospective parents who want to adopt, and how adoption can not only change you as prospective parents, how it can change the lives of children who need loving homes. Not only babies, but there are children of all ages, all ethnicities, but all backgrounds who need loving homes. And so that's what this show, that's what this nonprofit is designed to do. It is designed to bring awareness to all of these children so that we can bring worlds together through adoption. Welcome back. Today we are going to hear from the beautiful couple who cared for my baby boy, Josiah, before we made his adoption official. Please welcome Jen and Mike Dignam to the show. Well, hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, David.
Hi.
Good to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you. First, let me thank you so very much for coming to the show. You can't imagine how much it means for me to have you both here and to see you all, because I don't get to see you all anymore with this COVID. So thank you so
Our
much.
pleasure.
Feel very honored to be here.
Thank you very, very, very much. Audience, you just do not know what a treat you're in for. This couple is amazing, and you just can't imagine how much I truly love this couple. Throughout this episode, you're going to hear an amazing story of an amazing couple. Mike and Jen, I can't again tell you what a privilege it is to have you as a part of this show. You all ushered me into fatherhood, which was one of my biggest dreams ever. And now you're actually here ushering me into this other momentous event in my life, this show now called Journey to Josiah, which is one of my other big prayers and my other major mission in life, to help usher other families into their dream of parenthood, family. And it's one of those things that I've said to people, when you want to be a parent, it kind of hits someplace deep inside of you. I've often said when people want to be doctors, lawyers, dancers, singers, that's one big dream. But that parenthood thing, it's another thing completely different. So it means something totally, it's a major thing, again, to have you all here, because you're now ushering me into this other major part of my life. You all are a very special family who have an amazing family structure of your own. You have two biological daughters, Hannah and Delaney, and then you have two sons, Peter and Moses, that you adopted in 2011 from Liberia, yeah? And so before we get into your story as interim care providers and then what brought you all into my lives, I want to hear a little bit about your own family structure. So I want to talk to you a bit about your children. So let's start with Hannah and Delaney. Can you tell me a bit about your girls, Hannah and Delaney?
You want to go, Jen?
Yeah, I'll go. Our girls, Hannah and Delaney. Hannah is 22 right now. Delaney is 20. And when they were 8 and 10, we decided that we wanted to foster kids. So then I think we all felt like we wouldn't be able to give the babies back, and we would want them as part of our family. So we ended up adopting. And at this point, it was Peter and Moses, who were 3 at the time. And then we waited until they were 5 to actually bring them here with us. So, and it's been 10 years since we got the boys. So it's been an adventure for sure.
So you said when you decided to go on the journey, initially you were going to be foster parents.
Yes.
And you said that what you couldn't do was deal with the possibility of having the children come into your home and then maybe have them being removed from your home. So you were worried about that attachment factor there. And so with that, then you decided to go on your adoption journey. And you actually got Peter and Moses, you said when they were
They,
Five.
we started the process when they were 3, and we got them. We brought them here when they were 5.
You brought them here. So you started the process when they were 3 and brought them here when they were 5 years old. So tell me a little bit, just to back up to Hannah and Delaney. You said that they were 8 and 10
When we
when you started
started.
that process. And how were they with that whole process of adoption? What was that? What was that conversation like with Hannah and Delaney?
Oh, they were very, very excited. The 3 of us were on board immediately, Hannah, Delaney, and I, and then we had to pull Mike in. It took a little while, but it all
Really?
worked out. Yeah.
Well, it all started with the the news segment on Baltimore's Wednesday's Child, and Jen and the girls had seen the Wednesday Child segment, and which features sort of older orphans, and they said we should do that. We should, give back. And so it was actually the three of their idea. And so the girls were a driving force in it. And then, as Jen said, they had to pull me along. And once I got on board, it was, we it took on a whole new life.
So you got ganged up a little bit, Mike. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it wasn't what I was expecting at that point. I thought, and actually, it's funny when we started, we're both, kind of Irish Catholic, so we were going to have a big family, and
Mhm.
and then, so Jen and I had planned 5 kids, and then, after we had the first, Jen wasn't a big fan of being pregnant, and she's like, well, how about 4? And then we had 2, and she said, I'm done. So when she said she was done, I thought she was done.
Uh huh.
But she was just done having kids.
Right, right, right.
She wasn't done parenting kids.
Yes, yes, yes. I got you. Wow, that's incredible. That's quite incredible. I love that. So now you have 4 children. You have Hannah Delaney, and then you have adopted Peter and Moses. And
The before we started there, it's I we were originally going to do a domestic adoption.
okay,
And as part of at that point in time, I was part of a company that did a lot of overseas work for the State Department,
okay.
and we had a couple programs in Liberia, and I had told one of my colleagues who ran a lot of that work that we were thinking about adopting. And she's like, "Oh, you're adopting? We support this orphanage in Liberia." And there's this cutest little boy that's there. His name, I think his name's Peter. And she gave me a picture of Peter. I brought the picture home, and it was like a done deal. They were just, oh, well, we got to get Peter. He's got to be part of our family. I was like, well, let's just slow down a little bit, because I'm not even sure that's his name. So let's pump the brakes here. And I don't even know how to do an international adoption. And so it all started there, and we started to do the research. And I guess we had gotten approved as a domestic adoption, and so then we had to go through the paperwork for an international adoption. And then I this was about 9 or 12 months into it. And we, I took a trip over to Liberia, and I said, well, let's cross our fingers and hope his name's Peter, because we were calling him Peter for 9 months. We were
Uh huh.
organizing our summer vacation. What would Peter like? We're just like, well, let's hope his name's Peter.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just
So
hope. Yeah.
I went to Liberia, and we went to the orphanage, and lo and behold, his name was Peter.
Wow.
And
Well, we thank God. Yeah.
so I met Peter, and he was as cute as the picture showed that he was. And I spent a day or 2 with him, and he had a sidekick that the 2 of them, from they were babies, were best friends. And so I said, well, I can't leave this guy behind. So that
Right.
was Moses. So I called back to the house, and I said, how about 2? And there was no hesitation. And so then we started the process on getting Peter and Moses. And that turned out to be, at that time, we did not know it when we had started. And as Jen mentioned, we were about a year into the process. And then I found out that there had been some, some issues, and they had put a moratorium on all adoptions. And I said, well, I don't think we can get these boys because they're waiting to get Heg certified and they're not doing any adoptions. And Jen wasn't going to have it. She said, well, you got to figure that out then, because Peter and Moses are going to be part of our family. So it just a complete miracle. At that point in time, we were doing a project that was high visibility, getting the airport there TSA certified so that Delta could start flights back into Liberia, and so it was a project that the president was very interested in, President Ellen Sirleaf, and so she had heard the story and she made an exception for Peter and Moses to be adopted, and they were the only kids adopted out of that country for 5 years. And so we were it was a miracle, and then we had to go over, and the whole family had to go over to complete the process. And it was definitely crazy, but at the end it was the four of us on the plane home on home to the US.
That's remarkable. That's absolutely remarkable. I wanna fast forward just a little bit because at this point now you then have four children um, and then
Then I really thought we were done.
you really thought you were done, and then you find out maybe not so much, and you decide to go on another journey, and you decide to become interim care providers. What took you to that space? Because I remember earlier you said fostering was not really for you because of the attachment piece. So now, interim care. What is an interim care provider? First, can you tell me what is an interim care provider?
So it's a family or a person who takes care of the babies while they're getting ready to be adopted. So depending on the situation of the adoption, it can take anywhere from a week to 30 days in the state of Maryland, and that baby will go to us to take care of until all the all the decisions have been made. So we just get to love that baby for a week to 30 days, which is my dream, honestly.
And so I guess the simple question is, just in a word, why? Why?
So I guess it never left. Like I always knew that I wanted to do it, but I was afraid, that I'd get too attached. But I guess having our kids, I just wanted someone to have loved them like we love all these babies. And I knew that it would be such a great thing for any baby. And because we really love these babies like our own. And it's a lot easier knowing, how the adoptive parents feel and how excited they are that we're more excited for them than we are sad for ourselves in that situation. So it makes it all better, so it's just wonderful. It's such a special thing that we have done, and I love every single baby that we get.
Absolutely. So, um, who inspired you to? Was there a particular person that inspired you to take this journey to be interim care providers?
I don't know. It's just always been in my heart. I mean, I guess I'd have to say God, put it there, and just this has never left.
So, can you tell me a bit about the process? Where did you go to look?
So what started the whole thing was, I think it was like a news article about people holding babies in the hospital while they were born, and in the NICU, I guess. And I was like, oh, that would be a really cool job. And I started researching that. And then I fell into the interim care. So I started looking around here, and I asked, I contacted Catholic Charities, and then they led me to Adoptions Together. And they were actually hiring interim care providers. I mean, it all just fell into place with our adoption, with the interim care providing. It just all fell into place and just worked out like it was meant to be. So that's how we got started, and that's where we are now. So
Was it so having been through the adoption process, was it as tedious of a process as the adoption in terms of home study, all of that, the classes and the background checks and all of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Everything. It's the exact same process, and we have to do it every year. So we do a home study every year
Okay.
with all the paperwork.
So they treat the interim care providers as if we're being adopted parents. So we go through the same process you went through, and we do it every year.
Every year. Okay, interesting. And um, so you have the babies. You said for 30 to 60 days. Is that what you said?
Mostly up to 30 days.
Up to 30 days. Okay, mostly everything.
So every state, which it was interesting to me. Every state has different laws, and so in the state of Maryland and also DC, adopted or birth parents, fathers and mothers, after they sign and agree to put their child up for adoption, they have 30 days in which they could change their mind. And that's different in every state. Like in Virginia, it's only 7 days. Every state's different. And so in the case of Maryland and DC, in certain cases where there's still some questions or parents could be, waffling, they don't want to place a baby in a home and then have to take that baby back. And so that's when we come in and we provide that interim bridge until everything that needs to be squared away so that the forever home is the forever home.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to get a little bit more personal. We're going to bring it back on over to Josiah. So you all were about to go and celebrate your 20th year anniversary in Niagara Falls. And you got this phone call. Tell me a bit about this phone call that disrupted your 20-year anniversary to Niagara Falls.
So we had finished our paperwork and we were waiting for our first baby and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally we planned a trip because we weren't planning anything because we thought it would happen right away. And we planned the trip and then get the call and didn't even think twice about saying yes. I'm like, yes, we'll be there. So I'm like, oh, Mike, our trip is canceled. So that was when we met Josiah for the first time, which he was our very first baby.
And let me ask you something. I've never asked you this question before. Actually, let me back up a little bit. How long did you wait after you got approved? How long did you wait before you got the call for Josiah?
I don't even know. Mike, do you know?
Well, it seemed like it was a lot longer than it was, but I think it was like 3 or 4 months.
Oh, really? Okay, so that wasn't very long at all.
Yeah,
all
no,
right.
it felt long because we figured, we spent 6 months doing the paperwork. We figured, okay, we're done. Now give us our baby.
But it was about 3 to 4 months. And now in that process, about how long do they say the wait generally is before you get your first baby?
I think it usually takes about a year to do the actual home study.
Yeah.
So then once the home study is approved, it could be anytime, whenever the babies come.
Okay.
and we're needed.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I think at that time there was 4 of us for the adoption agency, 4 or 5 of us. And it's just whenever the babies come is whoever's next in line.
Got you. Okay. So you get Josiah, and it's a bit of a different situation than what you were prepared for because, as you all said earlier, typically you would have a baby in your home for 30 days. And as you all know, you all did not have Josiah in your home for 30 days. You all had him in your home for about 2 weeks. And so when you all got the call that Josiah had a forever family, and this is the question I never asked you all before, and he was your first baby. What was that feeling when you had to then, for the first time, separate from a baby that, for that first time? And then in 2 weeks, too, when you thought it was going to be 30 days, now it's 2 weeks. So,
I think when we first personally for me, when I first get the call saying that, family was picked, I feel a little anxious until I actually until I talk to you. Then I was like, oh, this is great. This is just great. This is the perfect match. So I was so excited, but until I talk to the parents, I have a little anxiety, and depending on how great the parents are, sometimes I keep that anxiety with me. But with you, right away, I was like, this is going to be great, and it was the best placement ever. So I mean, it was just a perfect match, really.
oh, thank you so much. It was amazing because I remember when I actually finally got that, because it was a different situation again, because it was 2 weeks and the agency was very, very protective of, we really don't want to do this. Well, not don't want to do it, but they were hesitant because this is just not how this is supposed to go. We're not in that window, but it was a different kind of situation that it was, the whole thing was just remarkable, I would say. But when Kobe, my post-placement social worker, called me on a Wednesday, I want to say it was, to say, all right, it's a go, and do you want to see your baby for the first time? She texts me the pictures, and I'm melting. And then it was like every day after, what was so amazing was you all would text me pictures and give me updates, and I just instantly was like, these are the most amazing people I have ever met. Because I would get the cutest pictures with these neat little messages about what I'm doing at this moment. And it just was, and I have all of them. They're a permanent part, and I love just going back through them. And I just need you all to know, just even in that time, what you all meant just doing that. Because even though I hadn't met you all, I hadn't met Josiah, it just did something for my heart. Because even then, I fell in love when I saw him, but then that I knew that he had people that, as I've often said, loved him even before I got to know him and loved him. It just meant the world, because I could just see the love. Like everything I saw around him just was love. And so it was just the most amazing, amazing thing. So let's fast forward to April 3rd, 2017, the day we all got to meet at adoptions together. And you all get there. So, well, actually, I should ask this. How were Hannah, Delaney, Peter, and Moses with it when they knew that Josiah was coming to be with me? How did they feel?
I think they feel the same way as I do. I mean, it's like the baby's a little part of our family for a while, but then when the parents get brought in and you actually see who the baby's going to, it's just really exciting for all of us to see, and to know that how that he's going to be loved forever. I mean, it's just, I think they were all on board from day one, and they really do get attached to these babies, but they love to see how they end up, and we keep in touch, so we see pictures from still. So it's great. I think it's a very good experience for all of us.
Yeah. And Josiah was our first, so we were figuring it out too. So we're just like, all right, well, what do we do now? And Jen's always just, the whole time it's just like, well, let's make sure we capture that, because we got to pass that, memory on to whoever the forever home is. And you saw she did the journal and put all the information, and she has little.
Oh, and I remember one of the other interim care providers saying that they saved the umbilical cord when it falls off. So I saved it for you, but I thought it was so gross. I wrapped it up in a little bag and I gave it to you. You're
And
like,
then
I don't
I
want
remember, David, you're just like, what are you giving me this for? You
that.
know,
Was the
what
last
am
time
I, you
I'm
know,
like, I
it's
am
like
never
we
doing
gave you some dirty diapers.
I didn't want it. I did not. I remember thinking, thank God that fell off before I got him. I was just like, oh my goodness. That was the one part as a dad, I was like,
That's
No,
I
Jen's
didn't
just
need
like, if
that.
it falls off, let's save it. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing
That's
here?
because somebody told me to do that. One of the other interim care providers does that for all of her babies. And I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
No,
Yeah, you
I
were
didn't
the only
want it.
one who got the umbilical cord, David. So you're
That's the
special.
one thing I just, no, I'm glad you didn't save that for me. I didn't need it. My baby is everything about him I think is amazing and adorable, but that, I was so glad that left him before I got him. Didn't need it. That was too funny. I remember that conversation. I was like, is this terrible that I'm saying that I just didn't want that? But I just didn't want that. But that's hilarious. I remember us talking about it. And so on April 3rd, when you all came in, well, when I got to walk into that room, the first thing I remember is, Jen, Jen, you had him, right? Did you have him?
Yeah, I probably had him.
You had him, and he was facing me, and I could not believe how bright-eyed this 2-week-old was. I mean, wide awake, never took his eyes off of me, and I just felt like, I just remember I was instantly in love. Like I just could not, when I saw the pictures I was in love, but then when I literally looked at his face, you could have purchased me with a penny and got change back. I just, the instant I just melted, and that moment, that second, I'll never forget it. But what I'll also never forget is even you and Mike, your emotions, because I actually think you two were probably more emotional than myself. It was, so in that moment, can you tell me what were your feelings in that moment?
I think it's just a special thing to witness a baby meeting his parents for the first time. It was just the sweetest, and your mom was there, and it was just really very special day. I mean, really.
And we felt like we'd known you for,
Yeah.
for a long time. It just felt so natural, like this was meant to be.
And the funny thing is, that's what literally I told the team here today. I was like, that was a connection that was formed, that we just all felt like we've known each other. And even though we don't get to talk every day, and it's just a normal thing, we just fall in line when we see each other, family fun days, we connect. It's just what it is, because you all are just that permanent part of our family. So it's just not it was never awkward. It just was just like, these are a part of the family. They are just a part of our family, and we just love them.
That was the gift that you gave us, because we had never done it before. So we thought, after our 2 weeks or our 30 days is done, then we're done. But you made it a point to let us be part of your family, and that's one thing that we were just like, wow, it doesn't end, and we can
No.
still, and the pictures and the I remember going to the official court
Yes.
ceremony, and it just felt, we were very grateful that we weren't done. We could still stay and
Absolutely.
be part of your family.
And his baptism. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Every part of it. And that's the remarkable thing, is that it does it for, and that's for everyone to know, is that it doesn't have to. And these adoption stories, people kind of have a perception of what it's supposed to look like, where it's just kind of done. The baby just kind of goes to the forever family, and in certain situations, depending on what things look like, it could be that way. But I prayed very distinctly that everybody that was a part of Josiah's journey stayed a part of his journey. That is what I wanted. That is what I wanted. I needed him to have a full village. That was my prayer. And that every part of his life and his journey, he could look and he could see everybody in his life who has loved him along the way, because he's had a lot of love. And I've just been so grateful to just see that, so that he can see that. And and you all are a part, because as I've said, and I will always say, you all, because I didn't know that Josiah existed until 2 weeks after, you know? And so you are the ones who loved him and held him and nurtured him and woke up with him before I did that. So that will never ever go unnoticed. And he has to know that. You know, he's young yet he doesn't know, but no, he will always know. He will always know. And so, and in those pictures, so that's what means so much to me. So, you know, all the special days that he has, Jen and Mike, as long as you're available, Jen and Mike get to come along and be a part of that. Yeah, you know, it doesn't get to end. And that's what I want everyone to know. And that's why this is so special having you all here today, because I need the world to know that, you know, you all mean the world to me. And you all, you know, are a part of Josiah's life and my family, my life. And again, the world should also know that this is what adoption looks like. As the saying says, adoption changes lives and brings worlds together. You know, people who were not together and didn't know each other prior, they come together, they grow into extended families, they love each other, and that's the joy and the miracle and the gift of adoption.
Yeah. No, and it was like I said, it was an extra bonus for us because we thought we were our job was done, but it's been great to stay on the journey with you.
Yeah, and it's been a remarkable one. I want to ask you, to date, how many babies have you all been so blessed, and how many babies have been blessed to have you all as their interim care provider? I should ask it that way. How many babies have been blessed to have you all and families?
We just placed our 20th last week.
And that's just been since 2017.
4 years.
20 babies. And wow, that's amazing. Such an amazing ministry. And I just think, just because of how you all have impacted me, I just think you're a gift to all of these babies and all of these families. Because I know that the way you all have loved us is the way you've loved everybody else. So I just feel that I know that there are 20 babies and 20 families who are just so blessed to have had you all. I'm just so blessed that I had you all first. My
Yes.
selfish
Well, I was going to
self.
say there's still only one. There's still only one Josiah, so that's the one that they all get compared to.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So let me ask this. This is actually this is a big question. How has being an interim care provider impacted your lives?
No, I think it's been a great experience and just opened our eyes up to this whole process and just how many just people like yourself and getting to meet people and also for our children. I mean, I think they have embraced this and as we've talked about Peter and Moses and they're adopted, so every baby that we get, they're everybody. Actually, it's the one thing that gets our girls back from college. Everybody wants to come back when we have a baby,
Yeah.
and our boys, they're just they're gonna. I think it's going to make them better men when they grow up and just seeing the sweetness and the kindness that they show these babies, it's really impact the whole family. And just to for me to see Jen light up every time she gets that call, and just for her to really find her passion, has been great.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. So then, this is my final question. Um, It's been, I've just loved having you both here. I could talk to you all day. But this is my final question. If someone has the desire to become an interim care provider, where can they go to look for information? How can they start this incredible and very important journey?
Probably just like we did. You just call around to the adoption agencies and see if they're hiring, and if they know of another agency in the area that would be hiring if they're not. That's exactly what I did, and I just kept going from one to the next, and that's basically what we did. Just contact the adoption agency and see if they need any help.
And there you have it. So if you're interested in becoming an interim care provider, which is an important ministry in and of itself, then you just contact the various agencies, look to see if they're hiring, and see how you begin the process. And it's an amazing process. It did so much for me, as you can see through Jen and Mike, who are incredible people in and of themselves. It doesn't get much better than having families, extended family, like Jen and Mike, as a part of your own family. If you could only be so blessed as I am to have had an extended family like them, you have hit the mountaintop, is what I would say, because they mean the world to me. And so if you have this in your heart, and you want to bless another family by loving a baby, a young child, a teenage child, and nurturing and caring for them until they are placed in their forever home, and then prayerfully becoming an extended part of another forever family, then you want to take this journey and you want to become an interim care provider. So reach out to agencies, extend yourself, extend your home, extend your family, and do this for a child who needs this. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, David. And it's been great watching you be such an awesome dad
Yes,
over
it
the
has.
years too. So you inspire us all of us dads.
Oh, thank you. You all have inspired me, and it's meant the world to have you all here with me today. I'm feeling myself getting a little emotional at this present moment, because this is the conclusion of my very first episode on this major journey. And yet again, you all have met me at this very, very momentous time. As I said, you all ushered me into fatherhood. You handed me my biggest dream in life, and that is my Josiah. And you all have sat with me today on this, the very first episode of the journey to Josiah. So I thank you all from the bottom of my
Thank you
heart.
for letting us be a part of your journey.
Thank you. You all will forever and always be a part of this journey with me. So thank you all again. And as I sign off today, I thank you all so much for joining us today and being a part of this show. I sincerely hope that you all join us and continue to join us, and join us in learning how to be a part of this amazing world of adoption, as this is an amazing gift. And as always, remember, adoption changes lives and brings worlds together. Thank you so much. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
Family, family, bringing our worlds together. Family, family, bringing our worlds together.
Journey to Josiah will be airing on our YouTube channel, so please be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss an episode. Journey to Josiah is not only a show, but a nonprofit organization that will connect families and the community at large through the miracle of adoption. Please support us in growing this vision. You can support us by donating through PayPal at Journey to Josiah, Givelify, Journey to Josiah Incorporated. Text GIVE to 410-220-5231. You can also mail in your donations to Journey to Josiah Incorporated, 3717 Boston Street, Baltimore, Maryland, Suite 359, 21224. Finally, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Journey to Josiah. Always remember, adoption changes lives and brings worlds together.